And we are live on the night of July 13th when Donald Trump had an assassination attempt. And this is going to be a video about the social dynamics of the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. I don't care if you hate Donald Trump. I don't care if you like Donald Trump. Feel free to ignore everything I'm saying and just write your autopilot about Trump in the comments because you're a robot. Literally, you'll see a lot of that here. Trump, okay, I don't care, but I'm here to talk about the social dynamics of the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. This is a huge historical day, the night of July 13th, and this will be a night that we remember for a long time. Could be the start of a lot of insane things to come, but in the meantime, if if Trump lives, he'll probably be elected because of what happened today. So what I want to show you first is a quick video, and this is in case you're seeing this in the future, after I'm dead and gone or anything like that. We're going to go into quickly a quick video of what happened when when they tried to assassinate him earlier today.
See something that said, take a look at what happened.
Your head is bloody.
So we got to move to the car. Watch out.
So what you just saw there is something that is a historical event, which is they attempted to assassinate Trump. Now, we all knew that he would either be shot or they would try to shoot him. Everybody knew that. Everybody knew. If you didn't know that, you're an idiot. You are an idiot if you didn't know that that was coming. 100% coming. And you might also see fake retaliation could be coming as well. So anyway, that's what happened today. Now, what's fascinating, the first thing that I want to talk about as far as the social dynamics of Trump's assassination attempt is I want to talk about the photos and iconic photographs, okay? So earlier this year, Trump got arrested and they actually made a mugshot out of him. That there was a very, very, very iconic photo, okay? Which means, in other words, people who support him can rally around a photo like that for decades, if not hundreds, if not thousands of years to come. Because what that represents to people who feel like they're being stifled and they can't be themselves or talk, basically it's him defiantly saying, arrest me, motherfucker. I'm going to speak my truth, okay? He's speaking what he believes to be true. Whether you're on the left or the right, you probably agree that you shouldn't be arrested for saying what you believe to be true. You probably believe that. You might be like, oh, I hate what this guy says. But you probably don't agree with arresting him over it, right? Just making a bunch of stuff up to arrest the guy. Now, from there, I thought that was the best photo that you could ever get. I never thought you'd get a better photo than that. But the photos that came from today, you have to understand, these will be rallying points until the end of time. These photos are iconic. These photos will last forever, okay? Forever. And whether it's people on the left-wing political spectrum or the right-wing political spectrum, the issue of free speech and free expression and getting to be yourself, when I was growing up, that was more on the left. That was more of an issue of the left, right? And then the right was more of this sort of neocon thing that would try to suppress you if you weren't a neocon. That later shifted, surprisingly. I never thought you'd see that in my lifetime, where freedom of expression shifted more to the right. That became more of an issue of the right, and the left became more pro-censorship. So as a result of that, a lot of people that were previously left-wing, kind of wound up without a political, and they wound up on the right wing. But the issue of free expression and being who you are and getting to be yourself and getting to just say what you think is true, even if you hate it, like even if you hate what this guy says, but if you believe in just someone's ability to speak, that issue will sometimes be on the left, sometimes it will be on the right, or any new political spectrum that evolves over thousands of years. But this image that you see will be a rallying cry for that. So if you look at this next image, which, I never thought you'd see an image like this, and that's the most iconic image that you see. And that image there, among others, like this one here, like it has everything. Like they have handed him a rallying point with just that one picture on a silver platter. People will rally around this image. Let's look at the next one. We have a couple of these loaded up. There was a funny meme one that we saw that was really funny. This is hilarious. I mean, the guy is literally looks like he's on the front like of a rock album or a rap album or something like that. I mean, they've literally turned this guy into a rock star, turned him into a rapper. I mean, this looks more like an incredible rap album or rock album than any cover I've ever seen. I mean, look at like this is crazy, right? I mean, this is the kind of thing that for people that believe in freedom would bring them to tears and move them to be fearless and to rally behind him. So look at what they've done. Okay, there's powerful social dynamics happening here. Let's keep going a little bit. You can see other photos that are kind of just crazy looking, but also kind of iconic. And I want to show you some other iconic photos that I just loaded up. These are just other iconic photos. So we'll keep rolling here, John. If you look at that photo, right? Like that's a photo. If you ever seen Muhammad Ali's classic fights, they're freaking incredible. I mean, unbelievable. You got to look up his fight with Sonny Lipton. You got to look up his fight with George Foreman. These are incredible fights that every human being needs to watch. They're unbelievable. And these are iconic fights. So that was an iconic picture caught by Muhammad Ali. It's a culture-defining photo. We'll keep rolling. Another one here that you see, this was Jordan winning Game 7. Another iconic photo. I mean, the best and I'm a Kobe guy, but, arguably the best basketball player of all time pretty much is, winning his 6th ring in a row, willing his team to victory when Scottie Pippen's back was injured. Unbelievable finishing to a game and an unbelievable photo, right? Let's go to the next one. We have here Jane Goodall. And if you're somebody who's a nature lover like I am, even though Jane Goodall associates to a lot of people that I don't like, she's somebody who, is part of the conservation of nature. And she's a hero to myself and to a lot of people, even though, again, I don't agree. I'm not somebody who condemns people for who they like or hang out with. I just like what she did. So even though I don't agree with the people she hangs out with, I like what she did. That was an iconic photo that back in the day, was just a difference maker culturally. We'll keep going a little bit. This is Tiananmen Square. And this is the idea of one person standing up for freedom. I believe that this photo is suppressed in China, although I may be wrong about that. But to the rest of the world, they know what that means. A lot of the world, I think, doesn't care about the people in China. I do. I think what's happened to them and their enslavement is disgusting and horrifying, and that we don't speak up about that is insane. I have so much love for the people in China, and I want them to be free. We'll keep going a little bit. Go to the next one. Yeah, that's a classic photo in the winning of World War II, I believe. And just people coming back home from war. We'll keep going a little bit, John. We'll roll it. How we doing? You okay? You let me know let me know. Okay. Yeah, there's Churchill during V-Day. We have another one of Churchill that I believe we load up as well that we could hop into. So these are just a couple photos that I just sent over to John leading into the thing. Now, go back to that the main one that we led off with Trump, the iconic photo, just to show you this, because I want you to understand what this photo is going to mean, okay? You're seeing history today. Like this photo and others that'll come from this photo is a rallying point, okay? You have to understand the world will never be the same after this photo. Even the leftist media acknowledges this. Like, it was funny. I thought of this myself, and then I was just looking it up, and you immediately see that even the leftist media that hates Trump, I mean, they know, like, this kind of photo, game over. In thousands of years from now, this photo, people will be pulling it up. That's what they've handed to him on a silver platter. You need to understand that for that bullet to have hit him in the head, you need to understand this, okay? Listen to me closely. 1 hair's breadth, the breadth of a hair, if that scope had been moved, and he'd be dead right now. Literally, it'd be a completely different story. This guy would be dead, okay? So I want you to keep that in your mind, okay? So this is a historical day. Trump will win the election unless they kill him. Or, probably their best bet at this point would be to do stage retaliation, or people could actually genuinely retaliate, and you could even lead into like a civil war kind of thing. But, assuming that nothing like that happens, he doesn't drop the ball or do anything too stupid, the guy's a little bit of a bull in a china shop, he'll win the election because of this. And it's funny because that guy was over. Like, it's a fascinating exercise in whatever you resist persists. That guy had no social media access. He was just rambling on and on about his election loss. And nobody gave a fuck anymore. I mean, people were over this guy. They were looking for the next thing, and he just didn't get it. And he was no longer relevant. People were just sick of the bullshit of him being controversial, and they wanted something they want to go back to normalcy. And what happened was, first they brought him into court, and they just tried to bleed him out financially. for things that were completely insane, and then that really started pissing a lot of people off, and that got him back in the news. I mean, he would not have even been in the news because the system that exists would actually block even major news stations from talking about him. So he was just completely irrelevant and blocked out. But then but whatever he resists persists. So by trying to take him to court, they got him back in the news cycle, and I was like, wow, this guy could actually win. He was basically he would have lost. But then what happened was. They tried to assassinate him. Go to that other meme one, the Rockstar meme, which is just fucking crazy, right? And, when you're creating photos like the next one, the album cover one, when you're making photos like this, like when you're giving this guy photo ops like this, you can't lose. Like it would be very, very, very tough. When you have a picture like that, I mean, look at the flag. Look at the fucking flag. The Secret Service agents, they're trying to hold him down. He's pumping his fist going, fight, fight. With images like that, I remember I met the guy that created the Obama Hope poster. Okay, the Obama Hope poster, if you remember that one. I actually met the creator of that. That poster was a major, major thing that got Obama elected because it got him to have a Kennedy type air to him, right? Like it was, with all the frustration and the recession that was happening at that time, and this poster that said hope. See if you can find that on the internet. You might even be able to find that, the Obama Hope poster, just for anyone that hasn't seen, even if you need to go full screen or go to Google, it's totally fine. But yeah, that one poster alone has a social dynamic to it. I met the creator of it. And you just knew with that poster that Obama was going to get elected. Like just that one poster was enough, right? Maybe you could find it on Internet Explorer or something like that. Just kind of like good old Internet Explorer. So yeah, if it's going to kick us off the broadcast, though, don't do it. Only do it if you can do it safely. So posters like this and like iconography like this, when you hand that to someone on a silver platter, it represents everything from people's feeling of oppression, people feeling like they're being picked on, people feeling like they can't express themselves freely, people feeling like they can't be who they are. I guess we're not able to get that? No? Okay. Okay. I think things are a little bit newer today as far as like the way that the camera, the way that we set this up with the images. We have some videos coming for you here too today, okay? But you need to understand that like with this kind of, just look up the Obama, Hope poster, okay? You can look it up yourself. But anyway, the point being is that with iconography like this, you can't lose, right? Like you just can't. It's just when you have a photo like that represents so much to another human being, and somebody who, like if you look at Trump as like, and again, you can hate the guy, but just to understand the social dynamics, somebody who is very, very old, could live out his life in leisure and peace, didn't need to run again, had already become president right out the gate without even being a career politician, could have just lived out his life totally in leisure and peace, but says, no, I'm going to go back in the ring and I'm going to fight. And he's somebody who basically has never backed down, right? And so you start having like that mugshot. Show the mugshot one. That mugshot image where where they would actually make T-shirts out of it. It's the one I think just prior to that. Yeah, that mugshot, right? They would actually make T-shirts out of that would say "Never Surrender." Now, of course, ironically, he surrendered. But the point is that he hasn't surrendered his soul. And again, love or hate, it doesn't matter if you hate this guy, it's fine. I just want to talk the social dynamics. Again, there's a lot of, they call them NPCs, like people that just have these weird pre-programmed responses like, I love Trump or I hate Trump. And like they just write this like there's no actual discussion with what we're talking about here. They're just totally like off the tone of the discussion, totally disconnected from the discussion. They just start writing what they think politically, like in the comments. It's crazy. You'll see that. You'll see this all under, even with me saying that, you'll see this. Like people they compulsively do it. They can't help it. But anyway, that's what you'll see. Now, I made a comment about this on Instagram today, by the way. I'm going to read it to you as well. This was just my thoughts on what happened. My thoughts on what happened were this. I'll just read them out. I said, I do not agree with many of his policies. Lockdown, promoting the vax, and others. I don't agree with many of his policies. Getting shot does not automatically make you a saint. I believe you should vote with your mind and your heart and love people of all political backgrounds. Okay, if you're different politically than me, I want to meet you. I want to help you. I don't care. Okay, I love you. I don't care what your politics are. That's what's cool. Okay. What I do not resonate with is imprisoning people, deplatforming them, and trying to kill them for sharing their voice. This country is supposed to be about debate. Today's events and his recent mugshots have created iconic images that will be burnt into the beating heart of our culture forever. Left or right, you have to understand this. Forever. Okay? Love or hate the guy. In 1,000 years from now, when all his policies have been reversed, when all the drama is over and the world is fundamentally changed, the one legacy of this narcissistic, flawed man, and I've studied MPD for years, by the way, and he's got all the hallmarks of it, but this flawed man will have left us, is to never surrender, okay? Because he is a flawed man, okay? I'm friends with his friends. I've been in his inner circles. He's a flawed man. This is a flawed man. But he doesn't back down from what he believes. A man with wealth to live out his life in leisure and peace, but was willing to risk arrest and assassination. He taught America, even those with opposing political opinions that they sincerely believe in, to stand up. He's not just teaching Republicans to stand up. He's teaching Americans to stand up. Even if you hate the guy. That's okay. That's what's cool. In America, you're allowed to hate the guy. That's what's cool. Okay? There was wars fought to allow you to hate this guy. Do you understand? There was wars fought so that you could shit talk him. You can call him a clown. You're allowed to call him whatever you want. There was wars fought for that. Okay? If you want to win a debate, then share your voice and debate. Trying to falsely imprison or cancel or kill someone is an admission that you want your own opinion to be forced on others without their democratic consent. Okay, there's a marketplace of ideas, you understand? The system is put in place so everyone can engage with it, have influence, make their case, and have a voice. If you care enough to engage with it, then use it. And if you don't, that's fine too. My good friend Brandon Carter always texts me all the time. Fuck all this politics shit's annoying. I don't care about it. And I love Brandon for that. He's about his money. And not everybody needs to make their political opinion. This is going to be a video about the social dynamics of this, by the way. People will jump to think that I'm shoving my political opinions down their throat. I'm not at all. I love people of all political backgrounds, but they'll just think that because they're triggered. It's an NPC autopilot response. But it's fine if you don't care to use that system. It's just there if you need it. If Brandon Carter wakes up one day and he's like, holy shit, things are getting fucking out of hand, he has a system that he could use if he wanted to. He probably won't. Probably wants his next Richard Mill watch. But the point is that if it got to that point, it's there. Okay? He doesn't need to go shoot somebody. I would pray that if Biden or any other person was attacked for their beliefs, that they would have the courage to stand up and never give in to people who would not allow this sacred democratic process to occur. If you have an opinion starkly different from mine, I want to hear you. And I pray for you to use your best voice and to be your most persuasive and allow me the space to decide my opinion of what you're saying. Sometimes your party wins, sometimes it loses. That's part of the balance in our society. We make our case, we vote, we respect the outcome, and we remind each other that we are a family and still friends. So what's happened here all but guarantees the outcome of the election. We should all pray that he does something positive with it and he lives up to the aspirations of those who elected him, okay? And by the way, if you also feel that the democratic process is flawed or even that the voting system is unsafe, you're allowed to talk about that. Just don't go kill somebody. Do you understand? So that was sort of just something that I shared a little bit today, okay? So I shared that because I want to talk about the social dynamics of this. So the next social dynamic that I want to talk about is that people are becoming so polarized right now that they can't let each other just talk. And that's fucking crazy. And, that's the kind of thing that can trigger a second civil war. I just came back from Charleston, South Carolina, Savannah, South Carolina. I was actually in other cities in the South as well. You'd see Civil War history, right? And that's the kind of direction that we're headed if we're not careful. So what I want to show you today, anyways, I want to show you the social dynamics of this. So I guess we're about 19 minutes into the video, okay? And by the way, if you want to learn more about this, okay, you can see right here, Self-Help Free Tour is coming up. And the next one will be in Portland. That'll be this week. Seattle's this week. Seattle's going to be amazing. 2 days flying for it. Got Honolulu, Chicago, New York, Boston, Philly, DC, LA, Austin, Texas, Dallas, Houston, Miami, Vegas, Phoenix. We've got some amazing free events coming up, okay? So if you want to meet me in person and have the chance to go out with me at nighttime, we'll go crush it, come to the free event. Do some networking. We'll talk about how to make a lot of cash. We'll talk about how to have OG social skills. And we're going to talk about how to become spiritually tapped in. Now, by the way, though, the reason that you come to an event like this is kind of like the equivalent of a 5K event for free. The reason you come to an event like this is because of all the incredible networking, what you learn, meeting me in person, going out with me, those kind of things. Okay, we run a hell of a show for those days. People go crazy. They're in tears. People at these events are in tears of gratitude. It's that insane. You make a network. We get you to network with people if you want to. All this stuff is crazy. But, okay, while you should fly in, if you can't, for any reason, even though you damn well should, kills me if you don't. I cannot do these events forever, and I won't. But if you want the main lessons, because you just want to make more money and have better social skills and be happier now, like you just want those outcomes now, well, then you can also hop in here. Okay, that's the Higher Purpose program. That's basically the very, very best lessons of the free tour, but they're laid out right there. There's a link. They're laid out in Higher Purpose program, step by step by step by step. They're just awesome. Okay, incredible lessons that are in there. Okay, just amazing, just unbelievable. Step by step, it's clean. It's just laid out, and I'll be taking that program down soon. I've just left it up for a little while, and I'll be taking that down. So if you want to get in there, hop in. Okay. Now, anyway, I'm excited to get up to the Pacific Northwest. I'm excited to see you up there. Probably be my last tour to Portland and Seattle Portland, Seattle for a very, very long time. Okay, I'm not likely to come back up. So anyway, let's keep going. So next thing I want to cover, I'm just checking the comments here. Next thing that I want to cover is a little bit on the topic of why this happens, okay? And I want to explain the social dynamics behind why this happens. So why is it that people, what is this weird thing that happened starting 2014 where they start trying to cancel people, right? And so Assassination is basically the ultimate version of being canceled, right? They'll cancel you, they'll cancel your voice on the internet, then they'll follow by canceling your bank accounts, they'll follow by, causing all sorts of legal issues, and then the last step is they kill you, right? Tate's talked about that. It's just the truth. He's telling the truth on that. That's what they're going to do. So why is it that happens? What's going on there, okay? So cancellation or purging or killing people is typically a part of communism. And that's basically something that happens. What is the psychology with communism? So I'm going to try to explain to you a different way of seeing this, okay? So I'm going to explain this to you from a sexual mating strategy component of why this exists, okay? And that's an angle that you're probably not going to hear anywhere else, okay? So I'm going to try to explain this to you. Okay. So people basically operate from two different paradigms. They're either operating from being stifled or unstifled, okay? Stifled or unstifled. And so what happens is, like, say that you go out to a bar or club, and this is completely related to the Trump thing, by the way, 100%. It's actually it's probably the most sanity that you're going to hear ever brought in this conversation to help you to understand what the hell's happening. So if you go out to a bar or club, and if your voice is very, very loud, and if your eye contact is very, very naturally piercing, but without trying too hard, and if you have a certain type of cadence and tonality that signifies high status and dominance, but that's also simultaneously fucking hilarious and doesn't take itself too serious, because when you take yourself too seriously, that's low status, but it's still it's dominant while not taking itself seriously. Think of like a Australian surfer who's just like this, like, some 6'4" giga chat Australian surfer that just like hops waves all day, fucking crushes it with women, parties with his boys. How does he talk, right? That's like a very, very attractive pitch to women. So basically what you have is, and why is that? Because they're winning. They're having fun because they're winning. If you're stressed and negative and heavy energy, it looks like you're losing. So, when you have that positive dominance and you're unstifled and your voice booms across the room, but without you actually yelling, and you're very, very, very free associative, and you're very, very funny and flowing, and you don't filter yourself. Like, it's just clear that you do not filter yourself ever. You say what you believe what you say. You are high status enough that you don't care if somebody's offended, and you also don't get offended. Okay, so you're not easily offended. You're not worried if you're offending somebody else. You're not trying to offend somebody else, but you're not worried if you are, because you're just having fun. You're having a good time. You're also completely unoffendable. No one's going to make you cry. No one's going to make you upset. No one's going to make you triggered. You like to compete. You like to make money on your own or within your team. You don't need a government handout. You're just kind of living the life, right? You're winning, having fun, crushing it, just living the dream and enjoying your fucking freedom, okay? Well, when you have that loose body language and and you really own who you are. You remember the last video that I put out on the Free Church channel? That Free Church channel has been going crazy lately, by the way. If you haven't seen that, go look it up. It's going bonkers. We're loading it up. Loads of content, no marketing in it, just piles of free content. It's the stuff that we talk about at free tour events. So basically what you have is a video that I put out this week where I said if you're a little bit crazy, they think you're nuts. But if you're batshit crazy, they make you their leader. And what I was basically saying there is that we all have a natural way that we are. And that natural way that we are comes out when we stop stifling ourselves. So as long as we stifle ourselves, we don't get to see that natural version of us. But if we become unstifled, we become so natural. Not now. Here's the rub: when we do this, okay, when we actually behave like this, what winds up happening is women want you. So this is something that I learned when I was 22, 23. Right? I remember I was out with Mystery, my mentor, and Mystery was very, very loud, and you'd see women that would just come up and jump on his lap and start making out with him. It was fucking crazy, Sometimes he'd be at like Starbucks, like preparing an infield training. And, all these guys would be kind of looking at him and he'd be loud and brash and teaching them. And then women would come up and just start kissing him. They just come up and start making out. They literally ask if they can make out. I was out with my buddy Ibrahim the other night. He was coaching some guys and the guys were all looking at him. A girl just walked right in the middle. She said, "Can I make out with you?" Right away. That's just what happened instinctively, right? I was at my friend Ty Lopez's party the other night. He had a party here. He had an old school, like in my garage party. I should make a video out of it. It was really, really fun. And I'm just well known there because I was kind of like I was actually been knowing Ty since before he was famous. I was actually, funny enough, the first guy that brought a camera to his house, like, "Yo, get on YouTube." That guy would have been famous either way with or without me, but I was like busting his ass to get on YouTube because I love YouTube, and would have been famous with or without me, and we knew that. So the thing is, Ty was, there, and I've been knowing him a long time, so I have a lot of respect. I got a lot of friends there, a lot of respect, right? There's a lot of beautiful women there too. And because the guys there respect me and like me and, are kind of coming up to me and kind of give me my flowers, so to speak, almost every single beautiful woman there has since added me on Instagram without me even contacting them. They're just like, "Hey, I met you, I saw you." I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Well, what happened? I was just at a party. I was loud. I was having fun. I was being myself. I wasn't filtering myself. And so as a result of that, when I'd come up in my friends' photos, a whole bunch of the guys that are posting these crazy ass photos that I was in, they'd follow up and they'd reach out. That's what happens when you're unstifled, right? When you're unstifled, women want you. So part of like the way that, for example, Trump acts is completely and utterly unstifled, okay? He's absolutely 1 trillion% unstifled. The guy doesn't give a fuck. He's going to say what the fuck he wants. So what that means is that when he behaves like that, he has an evolutionary advantage where women are going to want to sleep with him. And anybody who acts like that will have that same advantage. You're going to say it's just the money. You're fucking wrong. You don't need money for that. It's not necessary. But what you do need is to be unstifled. What a lot of people, though, feel is that they couldn't get unstifled until they had money because they can't just make themselves do it. Like they need the emotional support that they're rich to be able to be themselves. But until they're rich, they can't be themselves, right? So Trump is just a fucking loud, brash motherfucker, right? Whether he's broke or rich, he's just fucking, Trump's going to be fucking Trump, You can hate the guy, like wish death on him, wish all these horrible things on him. That's fine. But the guy's going to be, like the dude's going to be who he is, right? So you can learn that from the guy. He's going to say what he thinks. He's going to be who he is. He's not going to hold back. So that in and of itself is a lesson in dating. So what happens is that in the political spectrum, you sort of like, there's a lot of different places that we can divide up the spectrum, but a big one is individualism versus collectivism, right? So individualism has a toxic and negative side, and collectivism also has a toxic and negative side. For example, I love, Jane Goodall, right? I love nature. I don't want a Walmart being put on the Grand Prismatic Spring in Yosemite National Park. That does make me a collectivist in a way, right? I like roads. Because I like roads, technically in the strict definition of the word, of the expression, that would make me a collectivist because I like roads. I like that we have roads. I love roads. I'm sorry, I just love roads. But it does require people to go build them, right? I like the fact that I can go to the Grand Canyon and they haven't put a McDonald's like in the middle of the Grand Canyon, right? And in a pure form individualism, they could just go do that. So that would be like a toxic form of individualism. There's also culturally negative parts of individualism. People, you can look up Century of the Self by Adam Curtis, people being very narcissistic. Look, the fact that we even walk down the street in this day and age and people will barely give you the time of day and pull their head up from their phone is a negative side of individualism. There's also negative sides of hardcore collectivism, and that's what you see in things like Tiananmen Square. Close to 100 million people in that range being killed in China during the Communist Revolution, the massive amounts of death that we saw in Stalin's time in Russia, what we've seen happen in Venezuela, poverty, murder, death, and so on and so forth. So there's a negative side of collectivism as well. And unfortunately, that negative side often involves cancellation. It involves whether that is, internet cancellation, which is common in American and first world collectivism. They'll murder the person and purge them on the internet. They'll claim that it's for this reason or that reason, but they're not distributing that justice fairly because there's other people doing equally bad stuff, even much worse stuff, but it doesn't, but it's fine within their narrative and within their political views. So they'll kind of pick and choose people and have like this eye of Sauron that kind of picks people and then just destroys them based on the agenda of the day. But not actually like evenly distributing justice, nor should they, because people should have a voice and they should debate. But anyway, so that's sort of a thing that they do in leftism. But then, of course, it's gotten more extreme in recent years where they they use lawfare on the people, or they eventually put them in jail, and if that doesn't work, they kill them. So what you saw today was basically Trump. They tried everything else to cancel him, and then they did this, right? They tried to kill him. Now, whether or not this was sort of a guy that was kind of brainwashed by, you can probably guess who, to go do that, or if this was just some individual like wacko, who could even be a Republican that did it, right? Maybe wanted to help Trump win, because that will help Trump win. Who knows? But then again, by killing him, that wouldn't help, because again, one hair's breadth would have, instead of knocking off his ear, it would have, killed him, right? But he wound up killing another person there and injuring another person and traumatizing a lot of people. So, it's funny, like going back to the point of unequal distribution of justice, like media websites like CNN that painted Trump as literally Hitler. Well, now this kid thinks that he's killing Hitler. Well, who wouldn't want to kill Hitler? So he believes he's doing that. So that innocent person that was killed was indirectly killed by the propagandizing of CNN. That is true, by the way. That is true. That's undeniable. I guess we'll see ultimately what motivated him if we learn more, but I'd say it's highly, highly, highly likely. But notice that like CNN would not be kicked off the internet for that, right? So there's not an equal distribution of justice at all. But anyway, so like there'll be organizations or groups that never got someone killed, but yet they get in trouble, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Whereas like the leftist media really caused an innocent person to die. It almost killed Trump. Again, one little hair, he's dead. Okay, maybe you hate the guy. You're like, I hate him. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Doesn't mean to go shoot him, right? It's like people that hate Tate. They're like, I hate that guy. I'm glad they jailed him. And it's like, it's okay to hate him. It's okay to think he's the worst thing in the world. Think whatever you want of him. That doesn't mean they're supposed to like treat him in the way they're treating him, though, right? People fail to make the connection between like, we have a free system so that you're allowed to shit talk people, you're allowed to talk shit on them, you're allowed to hate on them, you're allowed to think they suck, you're allowed to like even wish bad things on them, but it doesn't mean to go kill somebody. It doesn't mean to go purge someone, cancel someone, kill someone, jail someone falsely. Okay, so it's one of these things where that is a toxic version of collectivism, right? Just like the putting McDonald's in the middle of Yellowstone National Park is toxic individualism. People on the street that barely give you the time of day because they're narcissistic is toxic individualism. Toxic collectivism is a lot of purging and things like that, right? And the reason why this is, if you want to understand it, the social dynamics behind it, is because in collectivism, people will take on the beliefs and the demeanor that they feel benefits the larger collective, okay? So in other words, in many cases in collectivism, you have to dim your light, right? A simple example would be Japan in World War II, and this is very, very sad. We think of like all the bad things that Japan was doing at that time. We forgive them because they endured 2 nuclear bombs, but they were doing really, really terrible stuff similar to Germany. I love German people and I love Japanese people, but at the time, what those countries were doing under really horrific leadership was very, very bad. Okay, you should probably look up what was going on in Japan. So anyway, at that time, they had propagandized the population that the emperor, this like random guy, was a living god. and that basically that as long as they would do whatever the emperor said, that they would go to like, heaven or whatever it was. I can't remember the specifics, but they had to do this for their living God. So as a result, that was why you saw all these kamikaze pilots, right? That would literally America goes to attack Japan, and they're literally seeing these people flying their planes right into their warships. They've never seen anything like it. You can see footage of this. It's just fucking crazy. They would go onto an island like Iwo Jima, or they'd go onto an island like I believe it was Okinawa. It's been a while since I watched this, but these Japanese islands, and it was really, really sad. They the women would fight till the last person. The kids would be fighting. They would fight to the last man. They'd have to wipe out almost the entire island. It was just disgusting. That was actually the rationale at the time. Now, I never agree with dropping a nuclear bomb for any reason, but the rationale behind dropping the nuclear bomb was that they were afraid that if they had to go into Japan to stop them, that they would fight to the last man. They'd have to wipe out the entire country. So that was the rationale behind why they used the bomb. They also didn't want American soldiers to die either. Okay, that's kind of the story they told themselves, and you can see why to some extent, even though they shouldn't have dropped the bomb. So that's collectivism. There was a movie recently called Godzilla -1. We should be using both shots and more shots, by the way. Are we alternating shots? Cool. So yeah, that also helps to promote the free tour, the events, stuff like that. Okay. So basically, what you have is you basically have I'll just leave that in there for you guys to learn about business. So basically, what you have is in this movie called Godzilla -1, you would have it to where the whole movie, it was actually this Oscar caliber Godzilla movie that came out about a year ago. And the whole idea of Godzilla -1 was that Godzilla was attacking Japan after the war. You got to see this thing. It's literally like an Oscar caliber Godzilla movie. It's subtitled. Wasn't that big in America at all, but huge in Japan. But it was an art film using Godzilla art film that's recent. But the whole idea of that was basically that they're we're going to kill Godzilla, we're going to save the country. And they're all making these plans. They're going to sacrifice themselves to kill Godzilla. And then one of them says, no, we're going to kill Godzilla, but none of us are going to die. We're going to live and kill Godzilla, because even though Japan's important, our individual lives have importance too. And what that was really meant to show in that movie was that, there's sort of a toxic version of collectivism that, they were somewhat engaged in, not just somewhat, in World War II. And what they were saying was that they were going to, with that Godzilla movie, the social message of it that it was meant to relay was, we are going to evolve out of that negative version of collectivism where we all just go die for the collective, okay? Now, obviously, there's something beautiful about working together, but there's a point where it goes too far. For example, they're saying that, they could have put ejection seats into, the planes, but they're so indifferent to human life that they don't even put ejection seats in the plane, right? That's collectivism for you, okay? It just gets too crazy. So what you're seeing now is with the emergence of collectivism, you're seeing it to where you're seeing a lot of restrictions on things like speech and free expression and things like that. And they've always got a reason for it, right? Of course, we know that in history, it's always the bad guys that are anti-First Amendment, that want it where regular people can't just speak their mind. That's always the bad guys. But somehow we think that this time's going to be different. It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. It's going to be different this time, right? So anyway, that's collectivism for you, okay? Now, I want to show you a little bit. So again, the reason why they instinctively feel this, okay? I'm going to try to explain some really, really important details here. And again, if you want to learn this, hop in a higher purpose program. I teach all this stuff in incredible detail right inside this program. This is a real program. It's not just a marketing piece or something. I do this to give something to you to engage you, okay? In there, you get a free group. You remember the old school forums? There's old school forums are in there. You get a free coaching call in there. You get invited to events in there. You get invited in Zoom calls with me in there. And it's a full course. If you remember a lot of my classic courses, it's a full entire course in there completely for free. So I'd recommend that you hop in there, okay? And also get out to one of these events. Portland, Seattle coming up. Chicago, Honolulu, New York, Boston, Philly, DC. I mean, these are cities that are just fucking awesome to go visit. Get into an event with me. Don't just watch me on the fucking internet. This is not infotainment. This is for real. It's about your life and your transformation please get out to an event. I cannot tour forever for free. I can't do it. I wish I could. I wish I had a clone. I don't. Someday I'll have a clone and then there'll be free tours forever, but I don't currently have a clone. I have to eventually go home. I've got to lose a bunch of weight. I've got to get in the gym. I've got to rebuild the business because I had like a monster fucking company up until COVID, and then I just traveled for the past 4 years, having fun. I still got a really successful business, but I want to build it into like $100 million plus company the way that it should be. I've done over 100 million in sales, but I should be doing that every year. So I've got to come home and I've got to work, okay? And I have to. So while I'm touring, please like take advantage. You'll be like, it's always these guys that are like, you're still doing the free tour when I'm done doing it. I'm like, no, I have to do things for myself now. And then they're like, could you do one? And like, I can't. Okay. So self-help free tour. Those are some of the upcoming dates that you're seeing here, but make sure that you get inside that self-help free tour. Okay. Fly out to an event. Okay. It's a pure form event loaded with content. Absolutely stacked. It's not a sales event. I probably do about less than 5 minutes of sales of that thing. And it runs for, it's like a 30-hour event. It's fucking crazy. Okay. It is fucking awesome. Make sure that you get your ass out to it. You're going to learn so much. You're going to network. You'll have the opportunity to go out with me at nighttime if you want to. Like, it is fucking sick, okay? Getting groups, learning. But again, if you want the best lessons from it right now today, hop inside Higher Purpose Program, okay? So you can get right in there inside Higher Purpose Program. Get in there, okay? So anyway, what I'm trying to show you right now is different dynamics, okay? Different dynamics. So basically what happens, let me try to show you and explain to you this dynamic. Okay, if you go out and you're not someone who's used to being unstifled, okay? You're just not used to it. So you go out. And let's say that you start walking down the street just singing happy birthday. This is kind of a cheesy, dorky way to put it, but I can't put it any simpler than this. If you are alpha, people will sing with you and they'll give you props. If you look like a beta trying to be an alpha by being loud when you go out, such as singing, even happy birthday, men will instinctively come up to you and punch you. Try it. Try it. Like if I go out and I just go, you remember I said if you're a little bit crazy, they think you're nuts. If you're batshit crazy, they make you their leader. That's what I'm saying. If I go out and I just start going, happy birthday to you, like if I do that, other men will come up and be like, shut the fuck up, and even shove me because they can instinctively feel that I'm a target that's trying to step up and they shove me back down. It's instinctive. It's evolutionary. It'll just happen. Go out, watch. I can make videos of this all day. Maybe should make a video like that. It's crazy to watch. Actually, that'd be a baller ass fucking video. Because you probably could post that. That'd actually be a fun video. Maybe I'll post something like that. I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's fucking crazy. But then if you're loud with it, if you're batshit crazy, they make you their leader. People start singing with you. They start going fucking crazy. They fucking love it, okay? So it's the same thing with like that dynamic. If they feel that they can sort of shove you into the collective and then they can stifle you and they can kind of make you fit in, they can get you to dim your light, they instinctively want to do that. But that system only works if you purge the people that are outside the system, right? Collectivism only works if you purge the people outside the system. So think about it like this, okay? Let's say, for example, all of us are on the Titanic. And let's say that there's a boat and 10 oars, right, to row with, right? 10 oars to row with. And let's say that if all 10 of us row and row and row, we can make it back to shore. And there's just enough food and there's just enough water that we could make it back to shore, okay? Now, let's say that if one of us out of the 10 of us says, fuck you, I'm not going to row, and I'm going to eat everybody's food, and I'm going to drink everybody's water. What are you instinctively going to do? You're going to be like, well, then fuck this motherfucker. Kick him out of the fucking boat. We're all going to die if it's not for him, right? Now, that would be an example where collectivism is life or death, right? Where it's like, we will all die if this guy eats our food and if this guy doesn't row, okay? So that is where collectivists would instinctively purge somebody. And while I never agree with killing somebody, you could at least understand the rationale. But where this extends, if you want to understand the subtlety of it, is with free expression, where if someone's unstifled, they instinctively fucking hate them. So if you look at a lot of the people currently on the political right, which is funny because like a lot of these people would have been on the left, like as Elon Musk said, like he was a leftist, okay? And then the left just, went further to the left on the topic of free expression. So Elon wound up buying Twitter. But back in the day, he would have been center-left. Now he's right-wing, okay? So the political spectrum will move around. By the way, so again, free speech, like if your issue is free expression, that issue will sometimes be on the right wing, and sometimes that issue will be on the left wing. I'm more of a free expression guy. So, you know, if a politician comes out, whether it's left or right, and they're pro free expression, and they let you be who you are and they let you be at your best, then I'm going to like that person. I don't care if they're like a, you know, if it's like some neocon who has like a lot of weird shit that I don't agree with, but they want to let you be who you are and they want you to be your best and they want you to express yourself freely and they don't judge you. A lot of neocons don't know how to do that, but if they do, then you're good, right? If it's a leftist, like if Bernie Sanders wakes up today and he says, I want you to be yourself. I want you to reach your potential. And he says that, I love the guy. He doesn't say that though, okay? Even though he has a lot of interesting points. Bernie's got a lot of interesting points, but he doesn't currently say that. So my issue is just like, just being real with you, like I'm in seminar rooms most of the time. I'm out doing infield training most of the time. I just want to see you win, okay? So like if the system is causing you not to be able to be yourself and not to be able to speak your mind and is causing you to feel like you have to be somebody who you're not and you're having to censor yourself, and it doesn't allow you to debate. And like, if you have a different opinion than me, I want you to debate me. Like, I want you to tell me what you think because I want to learn. So I want you to debate me and to give me your best version of what you really think. Because if you're wrong, then I want to have a debate with you and then I want to win the debate. But if I'm wrong, then I want to lose the debate because when I lose, I win. So I want to be exposed to different ways of thinking. So that free expression tends to get stifled in certain forms of collectivism. Sometimes collectivism is used to promote free expression, okay? Because the dominant group, even though they're more individualists, they'll still stifle some smaller down groups. So then you need to use collectivism so that every group can have a voice. But sometimes where free expression is, it kind of shifts in between different places. It kind of finds its home in different places in the political spectrum, okay? So that's why you saw like a lot of like people more on the left kind of switch to the right, even though they don't agree with everything on the right. So it's kind of like strange bedfellows, right? Like very strange bedfellows now. And some of like a lot of these political issues have flipped and jumped around. It's like fucking crazy, you know? I'm more of like an MLK kind of guy, you know? That's like who I admire is MLK. I've been to his home and I've been both to his burial site recently in Atlanta, but also in Alabama. I've been to his home there as well. I've been to his monument in DC. Like I'm a really, really big MLK guy. While I disagree with things that he said, I understood the historical context of what he was saying and why he said it, even though I disagree with it. So Malcolm X, again, massive. Go look up Malcolm. Unbelievable. You don't have to agree with everything he says. His opinions change over the course of his life. Some stuff he said was bad, but Malcolm X, just amazing. Okay, but again, got to know the full context. You know, people like that were fighting when they were being oppressed and they wanted everybody to have a voice, right? That's what I resonate with. So anyway, so that ability to freely express in collectivism gets stifled, okay? Now, what I want to show you, I have a video that I created. You might have heard me talk about this. I wound up creating a 52 video series over a number of years during lockdown. I actually haven't put them out yet. Don't pester me to put them out. I'll put them out when I'm ready. I'm busy as hell. Frankly, I'll probably put them out when I finish doing all this free touring, so I have time to edit them properly. But I have a lot of them edited, a lot, because I was recording for years. So I'm going to kind of dig into that, and you'll see John. We've time coded a couple different spots. So in these videos, sometimes I pull up some documentary footage, and what you'll see is some of this documentary footage that I pull up.
So much under the surface as right, they're like, do the jazz hands, right? And it's like, why? Why do you do the jazz hands? Why can't we just joke with each other and be friends and love each other? No, don't ever trigger me. I need the jazz hands. Why is that? Again, that part of their brain that feels risk is jacked up because they feel so low status and maybe they just wish that everybody would come down to their level. That they all could group together and try to bring the world down to that level. It gets insane.
So these creatures engage in dominance disputes. And I think dominance is the right way to think about it because lobsters aren't very empathic and they're not very social. And so it really is the toughest lobster that wins. You know, and what's so cool about the lobster is that when a lobster wins, he flexes and gets bigger, so he looks bigger because he's a winner. It's like he's advertising that. And the neurochemical system that makes him flex is serotonergic. Well, if you give lobsters who just got defeated in a fight serotonin, then they stretch out and they'll fight again. And that's, like, we separated from those creatures on the evolutionary timescale somewhere between 350 and 600 million years ago, and the damn neurochemistry is the same. And so that's another indication of just how important hierarchies of authority are. I mean, they've been conserved since the time of lobsters, right? There weren't trees around when lobsters first manifested themselves on the planet. And so what that means is these hierarchies that I've been talking about, those things are older than trees. Let's say you've been like top lobster for a long time, but you're getting kind of old, and some young lobster just, whales the hell out of you, and so you're all depressed. But the thing is, your brain is dominant. But you don't have much of a brain because you're a lobster. And so now what are you going to do? Because you just lost. And the answer is, well, your brain will dissolve. And then you'll grow a subordinate brain. Yeah, and so that's worth thinking about too, right? Here for a couple of reasons. First of all, if any of you have ever been seriously defeated in life, you know what that's like. It's like it's a death, a descent, a dissolution, and if you're lucky, a regrowth, and maybe not as the same person. That's what happens to people with post-traumatic stress disorder, right? Their brains undergo permanent neurological transformation, and they then inhabit a world that's much more dangerous than the world that they inhabited to begin with. But we also know too, if you have post-traumatic stress disorder or depression, that your hippocampus shrinks, right? It dies and shrinks. And you can sometimes get it to grow back. Your hippocampus shrinks and your amygdala grows. And the amygdala increases emotional sensitivity. And the hippocampus inhibits emotional sensitivity. And so if you've been badly defeated, the hippocampus shrinks and the amygdala grows. Now, if you recover, the hippocampus will regrow. It's so interesting that you can relate to that, right? It's like, I get what that poor crustacean's going through,
So what's happening here again is that this is in many ways.
So we're going to come back to me for a second. Okay, thanks for watching that, guys. So basically what you have is a lot of people that are in collectivism, their brain is shrunk. And they're feeling really, really, really fucking bad. But they're like, yo, even though my brain is shrunk, if we could just band together and stop having all these like super alpha people around, then we could feel better, but we need everybody to kind of conform to that. Now, this is going to hurt things like innovation. This is going to hurt free expression. This is going to hurt business building. This is going to hurt everything. Like, you can't compete in society like this in many ways. But nonetheless, and frankly, even if you could, it's just not worth living in. But for a lot of people that are really hurt, that's how they feel. Now, we're going to jump ahead a little bit, John. But part of what, there was a great clip, a classic one, with this sort of lecture where a lot of people that were in that sort of defeated state were kind of, I guess you could say, trying to stifle each other. So they don't just do it to the alpha people. They do it to each other, and they get super
so much
chaotic
under
with
the
each other. That was
surface
towards
as
the
far
end
as
of the video. Very close to the end. I'm sure you have the time code for that. And I'd like to just sort of jump ahead. And if you just go to the time code of that particular clip, then we're going to jump ahead a little bit to that. You guys can see this really cool video that I've built, and you'll see those later. I worked very, very hard. I have years and years of footage not out yet, but you do have, that's still on the time code? Okay, so watch this. Okay, watch this, guys. You'll see what I'm saying.
Anymore, right? That same thing that would have allowed you to have that witty response or a funny comeback or be unreactive, all of a sudden what happens? Your friend gets tested and it shoots down. If you want to make a multi-million or multi-billion dollar business idea, you want to have your winner effect. You want to be thinking laterally and creatively, right? When people's winner effect is shot down, now they've got to have someone else tell them what to do, be a cog in a machine. But if you want to be that innovator, that visionary, you've got to hit that next level. You've got to wake up that winner effect. Right now, the next one is the stress. The cortisol comes up. So what happens is that when someone's winner effect goes down, they're easily offended. And they're very, very offended. So you'll see it. If someone tests your frame, you're going to see it where, again...
I hope you guys are enjoying this. John's just finding the time code. So, John, you can kind of flip through it. But we're just locating that time code. And the viewers probably a little confused right now, but that's okay. So what is the time code that we wrote down for that clip? Did we write a time code?
It's -29:52.
Okay, so we'll find that. Okay, we'll just find that time code. Yeah, maybe it was a mistaken time code. Okay, so...
It's pretty close.
Okay, all right, let it rip then, but I don't want to... I'd like to get off of this quickly and get to the next thing. Okay.
Out. When I walk into, a social environment, when my winner effect is shot up, I don't need a million things to say that someone told me on the internet. I just flow. So that's really what I'm trying to teach you here, right? So the idea being is that right off the bat, if your frame is being tested, A, your hormones get messed up. You become kind of submissive. B, your winner effect goes down, so now you're not lateral thinking anymore, right? That same thing that would have allowed you to have that witty response or a funny comeback or be unreactive, all of a sudden what happens? Your frame gets tested and it shoots down. If you want to make a multi-million or multi-billion dollar business idea, you want to have your winner effect. You want to be thinking laterally and creatively, right? When people's winner effect is shot down, now they've got to have someone else tell them what to do, be a cog in a machine. But if you want to be that innovator, that visionary, you've got to hit that next level. You've got to wake up that winner effect, right? Now, the next one is the stress. The cortisol comes up. So what happens is that when someone's winner effect goes down, they're easily offended. And they're very, very offended. So you'll see it. If someone tests your frame, you're going to see it where, again, you become submissive. You're not laterally thinking anymore. You're not witty anymore. And you start to go into a competitive frame instead of staying in that nice collaborative frame. Now, you've seen me make entire videos about this, right? I call it the competitive versus collaborative frame. I had a video. It was called When You Stop Competing, You Win. Now, everybody hears that and they think, no, I'm going to keep competing because I've got to win, right? And I'm saying, look, when you stop competing, you win. When you view everyone as your friend, you win, because what it shows is that you're so high status that you don't even view it as a competition. You're not in threat mode, right? Remember the lobster? That threat part of the brain, it overgrows when it's low status. When you're in that competitive mode, on one level, yeah, you're so cool or whatever, great. But it kind of makes you look low status. You're in competitive mode. You're easily offended, right? So we see a great segments in our society, people that are very easily offended because that part of the brain is overactive because their winner effect is kicked down.
Quick point of privilege. Quick point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Guys, first of all, James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. I just want to say, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum? I'm one of the people who's very, very prone to sensory overload. There's a lot of whispering and chatter going on. It's making it very difficult for me to focus. Please, can we just, I know we're all fresh and ready to go, but can we please just keep the chatter to a minimum? It's affecting my ability to focus. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. Okay, is there a speaker against name, chapter, pronouns?
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
So when someone tests your frame, the three things that you should be looking for is A,
these are people that are deeply, deeply, deeply neurotic. And I love them. Like, these are people that if I met them in person, I would spend hours doing what I can to help them. But what they're doing is that rather than looking to fix that issue so that they can be unstifled, what they're looking to do is to get everybody to be pulled down to their frame, okay? Now, there's a clip that we have with some baboons fighting a leopard, and I think that kind of makes the point, and there's sort of a good side and a bad side of this, and I thought it was just an interesting clip to just sort of show you the psychology behind this. And there's a good and a bad interpretation of this clip, but let's just have a look at it and I'll try to explain it to you. So what you see there is, it could be looked at as good or bad, right? Like fundamentally, you could look at that as good or bad. You could look at that as like, the leopard is the McDonald's or Walmart that wants to establish itself, in the middle of Yosemite National Park and fucking ruin the park for everybody so they can make a couple bucks because they're individualists and they're free, right? Or you could look at it as somebody who's just trying to express themselves and be themselves and being attacked by a bunch of people like in that seminar that are highly neurotic and that want to cancel them, right? So it just kind of depends how you look at it. But you have to understand that, like, for the people that are in that room that, don't want anybody to be too loud, a lot of that is reproductive. Like, they know that if they have, like, if they're making a decision to stay at that low level, to not build business, to not exert themselves, and not to be louder and unstifled and so on and so forth, well, then what's happening is that they can't have anybody around who is unstifled. And the mere act of being unstifled at all is going to wind up pissing them off. And it pisses them off because they know that they're not going to be able to reproduce unless everybody stays down at that low level. Okay, now I want to show you a little bit more about this winner effect component. So we'll go to, there's some baboon videos with Robert Sapolsky that we time coded. And this will be probably the last clip that I show you. But this is basically what happens with baboons when their status goes up and down. You're going to learn a lot
There's
about
so much under the surface
that aspect
as
of it
far
right
as
here. 'Cause
social-
we've got the time code. We're going to jump to it now. Just going to go right to the code that we had. And then we will see some baboons.
Bad, you shut down, your communication gets bad, more people think badly of you, you really shut down, and then you wind up how I was in the first 20 years of my life, where you kind of just wish you're dead, okay? And by the way, if you've ever felt like that, I want to tell you, and I'm not saying that I'm the expert for it, go get help for that, proper help, but I'm telling you, when you come out of that haze, you will think it was so crazy that you ever thought like that. I'm so excited for you to come out of that haze, okay? So in my journey, in teaching all the different things I've taught over the years, what I'm showing you here is my real passion, the real joy that I have, which is showing people how to get their lives back, showing you how to really see what your potential is, how to become you, is what I'm so get a layup. Why can't my brain?
And some technical difficulty. I really didn't want to show all that. That video is meant to be a surprise for you guys. So you guys are getting we put thousands of dollars in effort. It's meant to be a big surprise that's coming. It's an incredible series that's coming. But you got a little bit of a preview of it today, more than I expected you to. Is there a way for you to look at it in silence and just find the time code? Because I'd love to find that time code. Can you find it? Yeah. Okay, can you do it like now because we're live and there's hundreds of people waiting?
Yes.
Okay, I think you can find it. I'll find it for you if you want.
Let's not.
Okay, we're gonna find the baboon video. Okay, give me a sec, guys. I can dig it up. Should I dig it, or you want to get it? Okay. Okay. Well. Anyway, guys, we have a baboon video here, and give me 1 second, and I'm gonna pull it up. Okay? I'll grab this thing. Give me a second, guys.
There's so much under the surface as far as social communication that most people can't see in a million years. And because you can't see this communication, you're basically stuck. You have
was identified baboon political savvy, with the most cunning and aggressive males gaining top rank and all the perks. Females for the choosing, all the food they can eat, and an endless retinue of willing groomers. So if you're a dominant male, you can expect your stress hormones to be low. And if you're submissive, much higher. But there was an even more revealing find. In Sapolsky's sample, low rankers, the have-nots, had increased heart rates and higher blood pressure. This was the first time anyone had linked stress to the deteriorating health of a primate in the wild. As Robert Sapolsky was monitoring stress in baboons, Professor Sir Michael Marmot was leading a study in Great Britain that tracked the health of more than 28,000 people over the course of 40 years. It was named for Whitehall, citadel of the British Civil Service, where every job is ranked in a precise hierarchy. The perfect laboratory to determine whether in humans there might be a link between rank and stress.
It showed that the lower you were in the hierarchy, the higher you and other diseases. So people second from the top had higher risk than those at the top. People third from the top had higher risk than those second from the top. And it ran all the way from top to bottom. We're dealing with people in stable jobs with no industrial exposures. And yet, your position in the hierarchy intimately related to your risk of disease and length of life.
On both sides of the primate divide, there are soul-wrenching stories and life-threatening consequences. For every subordinate like Kevin living a life of baboon uncertainty, there is an alpha strutting his stuff, glorying in power.
We see this with
So,
the winner effect.
what we
if
see
you're feeling
here
great because you got a bit of
is-
approval, you're sub-communicating.
Basically what you're seeing right here, okay, and you're seeing an example of it actually unfolding in real life, is that the mind will shut itself down, okay? So in other words, where you perceive your status is the extent to which your mind will allow you to even think clearly. And this needs to be understood, okay? So when you're watching me in front of crowds, and you're watching, and I'm whipping out, off-the-cuff jokes, off-the-cuff seminar bits, it's all at the tip of the tongue, voice is booming, You watched me not get sick since 2012. I'm still waiting to get sick. When am I going to get sick? When's it going to happen? I've had a couple little coughs here or there, like like a little bit of a cough. Never had my temperature raised. Never had a proper cold. Certainly never had COVID. When's it going to happen, guys? When am I going to get sick? Ever? Is it ever going to happen? And the reason what you're seeing there, I'm not giving medical advice. I can't give you medical advice. But what I do know is that when your mind shuts down, like when you're feeling shitty about yourself, even the most basic of tasks become hard. Like simple, basic little tasks. Like even if you're only assigned like one small task, even basic, silly little task, if your mind is fucking with you and it shuts you down, and maybe you're not used to like a little bit of pressure, you just completely shut down from even the most basic of tasks. So the thing is, like, maybe you go to approach a girl and you can't think of what to say, right? And then what you do is you're like, well, give me a routine. Could I have a routine to approach the girl, right? And it's like, well, that's your way of staying in a low winner effect or staying in a sense of low status and not being able to free associate, right? If you actually raised your sense of who you are, then what would wind up happening is you would literally be able to talk and talk and talk. You'd be crazy fucking loud. You'd be controlling frames. Your body language would be amazing. You'd be leading. You'd be indifferent. You'd be naturally pushing and pulling because you'd be having so much fun. You wouldn't give a shit, and so on and so forth, right? You'd have that clear willingness to walk away. So that's what happens when you gain status. But what if you're somebody where you just don't feel good about yourself and even little small basic tasks become complicated, right? Maybe you're the kind of person where if you're not used to a certain kind of pressure, that even basic little small tasks become difficult for you, like little simple stuff. Well, then all of a sudden you're like, fuck, like I don't feel good. Like I don't feel like I could build a business. I don't feel like I could do something harder. I keep collapsing under the pressure. And then all of a sudden someone else comes and says, the reason that you're broke isn't because you have an issue internally. The reason that you're broke is because, the business guys are shutting you down or whatever, right? Like their ability to have winner effect is shutting you down. It's shutting down your winner effect. And the funny thing is, like, that's not entirely untrue. It kind of is true. Like in a lot of cases, like if the more dominant guys just disappeared, the less dominant guys would feel more dominant relatively, and then their winner effect would go up. So as a result of that, that's where you get these kind of toxic forms of collectivism where, a guy like Trump who just talks a lot of shit, well, he just says what he thinks. That becomes an excuse to go kill the guy. And it also becomes an excuse for deplatforming and cancellation and lawfare and all sorts of things like that. And it's okay to hate the guy, right? It's okay to hate Trump. The cool thing is, like, there's been wars fought to let you hate Trump. That's fine. I don't care. I don't care where you stand on the political spectrum. It's not a video about that, right? You'll see, again, NPCs will be like, Trump, or like, I love Trump. And like, they can't even just like listen to a video where I mention the guy and just engage with the video content. It's like this triggery thing. We'll see how the comments turn out, but that's generally what you see in this stuff. Maybe our community will prove better. We'll see. But for the system to work, there has to be a basic respect for people's ability to speak and a desire to win by debate, not by lawfare, deplatforming, cancellation, and now assassination, okay? But there has to be a desire to compete in the marketplace of ideas, and people have to be allowed to debate, and they've got to win over the group, right? You have to win democratically and win over the group. So my big thing is this. I don't care if you hate, I don't care if you're left, right, hate Trump, love Trump. I don't give a shit about that. What I care about is that you respect the system, that nobody goes and kills Joe Biden. Nobody goes and assassinates anybody. Let them debate. Let them debate. Let them talk. Marketplace of ideas. And that's what has to happen, okay? And I respect collectivists very much. I have friends that are collectivists. I grew up one. So I completely understand where that comes from. I have a disabled kid, Vincent. My son Vincent's completely autistic. A lot of those leftist policies will help him. I have been in a wheelchair for 3 months. I just got out of it more recently. I've been in a wheelchair for 3 fucking months. It was because of a lot of collectivist policies that there was things like ramps that people treated me with respect. So, and were helpful. So I like a lot of that stuff. I'm a person that loves the environment. I don't want to go to, the Oregon coast and then find a fucking giant Walmart on the most beautiful view, right? I don't. I like roads, right? So there's a good side of individualism, a good side of collectivism. But I think what you're seeing more recently is sort of a rise in that form of collectivism with like the canceling, the assassination, the lawfare that he platformed. We've just been seeing a lot of that, right? Just like back in, in the 90s, was it the 90s or 2000s, you had guys like Bill O'Reilly that are like these super judgy guys that would like tell people to shut up, and he's super judgmental and super annoying, even though like, I think that guy's kind of funny in his own way. I can kind of take something from anybody, but it was very judgy, right? Well, that's kind of flipped now in some versions of collectivism, and that's why you see him getting assassinated, right? So it's just one of those things where that's a little bit of the social dynamics behind what happened. I pray that no political leader is ever assassinated. I pray that people will respect the democratic process, and I hope that people realize that, if things were to ever turn super bad and there was another civil world war, that their side would not necessarily win. Death and look, I broke my leg a couple months ago. It was a violent, gruesome, disgusting, horrible experience. And I couldn't even, and it was bad enough when I had a free hospital to go get healing. I couldn't imagine being out in some war zone, getting shot and having my leg blown off and not even having proper care. It's disgusting. It's gruesome. It's not a place that people should go. We've got to come together, right? As a country, we've got to come together. We've got to debate. We've got to respect the process. And we've got to win in the marketplace of ideas. And sometimes your party wins, sometimes your party loses. But you've got to use that to energize yourself, to get out there and explain your ideas to people in a way that they can understand. But in order to be able to do that, to have that process, people do need to be able to express freely. So that's the message that I'd leave you with. I love you very much. I'm very, very excited to see you. We've got events coming up. If you're just logging on now in the live, Portland, Seattle coming up, other cities as well, okay? Higher Purpose program, if you want to get into the best fucking free program. It's got a free, if you love the groups, remember the old groups? You got a full free support group in there. You got a free coaching call. You got a free course. The course is fucking amazing. You get free invites to Zoom calls. Super fucking sick. I did a Zoom call today for the people inside Higher Purpose program. It was a really, really good Zoom call. Answered questions. Just awesome. So make sure that you hop in there. Make sure that you get out to a free event while I'm doing them. Make sure that you respect the process. And I'll see you soon. Peace.